Here's your explanation for the Sleepy Hollow analysis. Last week, we read The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Then you were assessed on your understanding of the story. This week, we're going to dive deeper into the story. You will be considering language, characters, themes, and more. You need to refer to the story that we have from last week when you're completing these items. You're going to need to go back into week 10 and grab that copy of the story. The first thing you're going to need to do is complete the language section. And you're going to need to find 4 words that that are unfamiliar to you and define them below. So you'll just need to find the word that you unfamiliar word, and then you'll need to put in the dictionary definition. Then you're going to take a short passage from the text and reword it in a more direct manner. Okay, so modernize it, make it sound more like something we would read today. And then I want you to consider, when you've made these transformations, what is lost? What is gained? How is it different? Is it better? Is it worse? This is what I want you to answer when you're answering that question. For question 3, to what extent does Irving's use of unusual terms serve to characterize the narrator of his story, creating an impression of voice and personality? Think about how his unusual terms really shows the uniqueness of his narrator, Mr. Knickerbocker, okay? And question 4, to what extent does his style serve to keep readers at a distance from the story, inviting us to watch it unfold as informed observers rather than be emotionally involved? You don't become too emotionally involved in the story. Most likely you didn't. So how does that invite us to watch it more so if we had become emotionally involved with it? Once you're done analyzing the language, you're going to analyze the characters. So I want you to explain, how does Irving describe Crane's physical appearance? How about Brom Bones? Okay, because then you're going to they're completely different. Because for question 2, I want you to compare the social frame Irving sets around his 2 main characters when they're introduced to the story. We see Ichabod Crane lording over his pupils, accommodating the rustic families that take him in, and showing off his singing talents. But Brom Bones comes off as the chief candidate for Katrina's love, the dominating figure in a community and the leader of a pack of fun-loving friends. So how do these associations play on our prejudices and color our opinions of the 2 characters? So how does that influence you as the reader? And how does that play into our own thoughts of who would be the winner and who would be the person who would not get the girl at the end, basically? And then we're going to extend it even further. I want you to explore the contrasting values these 2 characters represent. You might recognize them as arch rivals of youth culture, the nerd and the jock, but also can be interpreted as in terms of city culture versus country life. So I really want you to look at the contrasting values between these 2 characters. And then finally, to some degree, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow is about the story of an underdog that goes up against the local hero. So are we pulling for the underdog in this contest, or enjoy the spectacle of his defeat? Do we side with the local hero or find ourselves drawn to the comical figure who will be his victim? So in what ways does Irving manipulate our sympathies in his story, shading from ridicule of Ichabod toward a more affectionate point of view by letting us see more and more of the story through his eyes? Finally, we're going to conclude the story and our thoughts on the story. There's 4 questions here. So 1, after we see him knocked from his horse by the flying pumpkin, Ichabod vanishes without a trace, though Irving gives us a rumor that he went on to become a lawyer and eventually a judge. How plausible is it? How well does this square up with what we know about Ichabod Crane? So then number 2, the Headless Horseman terrorizes Sleepy Hollow because he died during the Revolutionary War. What kind of ghost would terrorize a modern Sleepy Hollow, and why? Why has Irving's Headless Horseman made such a mark on American culture? What is it about this guy? And finally, does this story align with the Gothic genre? What specific characteristics make Gothic or if you don't believe it is Gothic, give your reasoning. If you have any questions about this assignment, don't hesitate to ask. Thank you.